Hey guys, Carrot197 again, and as you can probably tell, I'm back from Japan. And I didn't quite come back alone. I brought back a lot of stuff. Now for starters, I was tipped off that in Akihabara you had a radio Kaikan where you could buy a lot of awesome stuff. Which I did. Now, I did have to decide which one I was going to buy. The regular gym cannon or the gym cannon with the Africa deployment colors or the America deployment colors. But I decided to just go for the standard one now, and then I could always pick up the other one at a later date. Now, in this box, there isn't just the parts for the gym cannon, but in order to save on space in my suitcase, there's also this here. And the cool thing about these parts is that in some of the hobby stores in Japan, you can buy pieces of model kits for a much cheaper price. For example, this bazooka here was 300 yen. Then the backpack here, which also comes with beam sabers, which are still somewhere else in the box, but that was also around 300 yen. So you could really, instead of buying the entire model kit, for example, for me, if you just want the backpack to give your gyms double beam sabers, you could just buy this for 300 yen and save on a lot of money. Now back to our gym cannon. Yeah, looks like this thing is going to have a lot of leftover parts. Whenever I see this many leftover parts, it makes me wonder if I can actually make the entire original mobile suit. It kind of looks like it, because, well, the legs are there. So let's see if there's the original chest. And that's probably not going to be there, is it? Yeah, I've been wanting the gym cannon for so long. And of course they released it as a P-Banner. But now I finally got my hands on this. And there we have our beam saber for our backpack there. Yeah. But I think this was definitely worth the wait. Based on the Gym 2.0, which is a really good frame to be based on regardless. And well, it just looks awesome. And with all the accessories it still comes with, and looks like it does come with the original chest. I might actually be able to build the original gym as well with this set. Just slightly different colors. And here we have the original box art recreated with the new Master Grade. Not something you see with all the P-Bandais having their own manual. I guess it was different enough to warrant its own manual. And I would say that if it's different enough to warrant its own manual, it's different enough to warrant a regular release. And at the bottom of the box, we have yet something else that wasn't included with this, but I did put in here to, make things easier to ship in my suitcase. This set of clear files featuring all of the Gundam main characters. I saw this hanging around in a very cool style, like the glass style you usually see on churches. And I figured I'm probably not going to use them as a, clear file to put things in, but these would look pretty damn awesome in a display with the main Gundam Wing mobile suits, including like the Tallgeese and Epion and whatnot. If you have them all next to each other, then have the mobile suits next to each other, this could give a very cool effect. And it wasn't too expensive, so I figured, you know what, I'll just go ahead and pick this up. And it does even say a Gundam Cafe at the bottom, which is where I bought this thing. Also, where I ate a lot. The Gundam Cafe is definitely an awesome place to eat while we're on the subject. And I can highly recommend it to anyone who visits Akihabara. If you're a Gundam fan, you go to Akihabara, you must visit the Gundam Cafe. It is a bit pricey, but at the very least, if you just go there and you drink something, you can always ask for your pilot card. They're going to give you a rookie pilot card free of charge. And it's just a cool little extra piece of omiyage you can take home. Now let's put this aside and have a look at something else really cool that I also found at the Radio Kaikan. Conroy's Jagan Ecowas type. This was, I believe, the last thing I bought in Japan, period, other than, well, food, which is also very important to buy when you're in Japan, by the way. Make sure you don't spend all of your money on Gunpla, because you kind of also need food. And it's great food there. And now this thing, again, one of those model kits that was just such a shame to see turned into a P band line, because it has all of the cool things. Now let's see, this is the regular thing, and this is what I'm talking about. Here we have the dagger, his grenade pack, the pistol. We need more mobile suits with pistols, seriously. And just there we go, that is your lot. It's the Ecowas colors, comes with a lot of extra equipment, which is just awesome looking. And let's put this back in there. So yeah, seriously, if you're going to Akihabara, the Radio Kaikan is pretty much right at the exit of Electric Town exit. So you exit there and you pretty much immediately have the Radio Kaikan there. It's got a bunch of floors with a bunch of different stores. I can't exactly remember at which stores I bought the Ecowas and the Jim Cannon, but there is a lot of stuff there. This, however, I bought at a completely different location, the Shark Jagan Shark's Counterattack MSV version. I bought this at Mandarake, which is also definitely a store you have to check out. They sell a lot of stuff. Mandarake is definitely going to return in this video later on. They have a bunch of different floors where they sell dedicated things. They have a floor dedicated to video games. They have a floor dedicated to manga. They have a floor which is, well, they have two floors dedicated to figures. One floor which has a bit of everything. And then the top floor, I believe it was, is dedicated, well, not really dedicated to Gundam, but that's where you're going to find the Gundam model kits. And that is also where I was able to find, for the first time ever that I've seen one of those, the full color Gunpla kits. And these are old kits, like really the 80s kits, like the Goof, the Jim, the Gundam, the original released ones. And they are painted, I believe similar to what Kotobukiya would do. You just have the plastic parts and they're painted. They were never re-released, and they fetch a very hefty price now for what they originally retailed for. I mean, at Mandarake, I found the Goof, which they were asking 3,800 yen, I believe, which sounds horribly expensive, but I'm gonna say it's not that bad of a deal. But personally, for a model kit that retailed for 500 yen, it said so in the box, I'm not exactly feeling that comfortable spending 3,800 yen, except for maybe one of the Mushas, because they are very, very hard to get, and they're actually their own model kit. The full color model kits, as far as I know, are just the original ones, but they're painted, which you can do yourself. Now, another really cool thing I found, Sword Calamity custom kit. This is one of the things, fetches a pretty hefty price on eBay, and I found it for, I believe, 1,200 yen. So the moment I saw it, I just snagged it up, ran to the counter, paid, and got the hell out of there. That's not exactly what happened, because, well, I had to look for more interesting stuff in that store. Unfortunately, well, fortunately, they didn't have a huge amount, but they did have this thing. So it is always worth looking at every store, even if they only have a handful of Gunpla, which was the case with this store. The rest of the floor was mainly idle stuff, and I don't know. But this thing was there, and I picked it up. Also, what they had at that store was one of the original high grades, the Mark II, if I remember correctly, for a really good price. But, you know, I already have one, so I decided, nah, I don't need a second one of that. If I'm going to buy myself another Mark II, it's just going to be the High Universal Century version. So now I just got to pick myself. I just got to pick up another Calamity to make this thing. The funny thing is that the guy at the store did warn me, like, hey, you realize this is not a complete model kit, right? This is just a conversion kit. And I'm like, yeah, don't worry. I thinking to myself, I kind of figured out that this small box isn't going to house the entire model kit. But yeah, stupid customers. I've worked with customers before. I'm still working with customers, and I know how customers are. So I can't blame the guy for warning me that there's not an entire kit in there. Next up, I also, of course, went to see the giant unicorn. Meaning that I also had a look at the Gundam base where they supposedly had all or most of the released Gunpla kits. Unfortunately, when I was there, I would kind of call that an overstatement. They did have most of the things in stock, but the one model kit I really wanted, the no-grade Guays, was nowhere to be found. And some other obvious ones which they didn't have were the original high grades, like the Mark II, the RX-72, Double Zeta and Zeta Gundam, the Musha Gundams, which for one reason or another have apparently never been reissued, judging by how rare they are, and those full color model kits I just mentioned also weren't there. What they did have were a few of the other no grades. I picked up a Goon and a Mobile Din. Now, one warning I'm going to give you about the Gundam base is that their model kits are full retail price plus taxes. So not only do you pay the 400 yen for this thing, but you're paying 400 yen plus 8% taxes. So when you're there, only buy the model kits you know that are either hard to get or you have to get them now. Like, you must have them immediately. You don't want to risk them not being in another store, which is why, of course, I picked up these two little no grades. I also picked up the Jamru Fin, and once again, about this thing of everything being in stock, well, this thing was no longer in stock after I passed by. This was the last one they had in stock, and of course, I did my round in the store. I just came back at the place where this thing was, and the model kit next to it, the Drysen, was now occupying 2 spaces instead of 1. The second space it was occupying was, of course, where the Jamru Fin was a second before. Kind of unfortunate because, well, if there were 3 Jamru Fins, I probably would have picked them up. And the Jamru Fin is one of those kits I always kind of had my eye on. They got restocked like a little while back, but I wasn't able to pick one up. So I figured, you know what, it's now or never. And the Jamru Fin is one of those figures like, when are they ever going to remake the Jamru Fin? Yeah, it might be remade as an RE100, but still, yes, there are now RE100s for Double Zeta Gundam. We have the Hamahama, we got the Bau, which was also a really good model kit. But the Jamru Fin, let's face it, who the hell knows what the Jamru Fin is? I mean, even people who've seen Double Zeta Gundam are probably like, what was the Jamru Fin again? So yeah, I'm really hoping that this thing gets reissued or gets a modern kit, but I'm not holding my breath. And I almost forgot to open these things up. Like, the Goon is probably one of the worst Gundam Seed models out there because the colors, man, oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, they're not exactly color accurate, let's say that. The Mobile Din, not that much better, but slightly. At least it's got 2 colors for the plastic, rather than just the one for the Goon. Quickly putting that away, and now this thing. Also bought another SD, the Bound Dog. Like I said, this thing I've had on back order for a few months, so I figured, you know what, I might as well pull the trigger, pay the 8% on the 300 yen, and get the thing now. Because hey, It's the Zaku 3. It's a cool design. It even comes with its own little Dodai Kai. It's a cute model kit. And the one thing I always like about SDs, well, these old SDs I should say, is they have like the gimmicks. In this one, it's shooting off balls. Huh. It's a BB gun. Okay, great. Well, it comes with a BB gun. And a comic where he's wearing a lot of mobile suits. Well, that's interesting. So let's see what our Bound Dog is doing for adventures. And let's see, he has the traditional spring-loaded gun. Definitely not bad looking for an SD. Damn, that is some nice attention to detail. And, well, he's just fighting. Great. Other than Gundam model kits, I of course got some other model kits as well. But you're probably thinking, is that all for Gundam model kits that I got? Not really. The rest is still underway. Which is why this is part 1, and part 2 will arrive in about 2 months via C-mail. So yeah, that is why that is going to be taking 2 months. Next up, let's have a look at this amazing car model kit. I was just browsing Mandarake when I suddenly saw this. Something I had no idea had a model kit, Misato's car. Also comes with resin figures of Rei and Misato. Unfortunately, none of the other cast. I would have loved it if we got like the full cast, or at least like the basic cast with Rei, Asuka, and Shinji. I have this really cool wallpaper on my computer where I think, yeah, it's those 4 who are just hanging on to, well, hanging around Misato's car. And it would just be really cool to recreate that. Also funny is that the manual is in a lot of different languages, like we've got German, English, French, even Spanish or Italian or something. So a lot of different languages for this car. Also, by the way, the good news is, if you really like this car, this is an actual car that exists, or well, very close to existing. There is a car that is called the Renault Alpine, which very much looks like this. It's, well, very much looks like it. It is identical except for the headlights, which are slightly different. But other than that, it is pretty much exactly the same. And it is a really cool looking car. So the moment I saw the model kit, I just had to grab it. Let's see, we have the tires and a brass rod at the back here. And in this little bag, we have the resin figures of Misato and Rei. So now I just gotta try to find a 1/20 scale figure of Asuka and Shinji that I can somehow put onto the car in a good fashion. So let's close this up. And then the final model kit that I can show off right now, where did I put it? There we go, is this awesome sniper rifle, the M82A2. Again, one of those things that I saw and I figured I just gotta have that for a gym sniper too. As you can see, I already built it and hooked it up to a gym sniper 2. It is slightly smaller than I was expecting, but still looks really good on the Gym Sniper 2. And I've never seen a sniper rifle quite like it before, but I really like it. I mean, it's just an over-the-shoulder sniper rifle, just looked so funny and so awesome, really. So really happy that I just happened to come across this thing. And with model kits out of the way, let's have a look at the figures that I was able to score. It's probably not going to come as a surprise that I was able to find some Titans figures, such as the Hazel Custom official color. And inside the box we have this thing. This is very similar to the one that Matias got me last time, except that this is the official color and that one I got via Matias. That one was the, well, the rollout color, so to speak. Let's quickly bring him over for a comparison shot. As you can see, same figure, different colors. I did, however, also get this thing in the rollout colors. Can never have too many hazels. Then next up, I found the Gunpla in the Titans testing colors, something I didn't even know existed. I mean, I just saw this thing hanging around and I was like, are those the Titans testing colors? And is that the Gunpla? And then I picked it up and I bought it. Then the final Titans related thing I got, unfortunately the gun didn't quite survive transport, but hey, that should be easily gluable. And when looking at this thing, this might remind you of something, and yes, this is actually a chess piece. So you can get an entire Gundam chess set. And yes, I did pick up a few more of the chess set. I didn't go for a complete chess set, but I did pick up the pawn, which is the power gym. I did also pick up the gym cannon 2, which is the tower. I'm not sure if that was the correct English term. And also the gym custom, which is the rook. And then our gym quell, who is the knight. So yeah, if you want, you can collect yourself an entire Gundam chess set. Unfortunately, because the piece that they are is only on the back, it is probably going to be pretty annoying if, well, for your opponent, if your opponent isn't a huge Gundam fan, and you just present them with like, yeah, this thing totally is, once again, a rook. Yeah, just remember, this thing, this random blue thing that you don't know, that is the rook. I mean, it says so on the back. I mean, you shouldn't have any problems playing with that, right? So yeah, it's unfortunate that they didn't just have a rook like standing in the middle or somewhere else on the piece that made it obvious to your opponent, like, oh yeah, that's a rook. It's just got a cool looking mech on it. So yeah, that wasn't supposed to happen. So yeah, cool figures, really cool if you're playing a piece, well, if you're playing a game of chess against another Gundam fan, but maybe not that usable for the chess aficionados amongst us. Then, more Titans-related stuff, the Gundam Mark II. And this is a pretty big figure, and it actually was somewhat of a model kit. By retailing at 300 yen, I would say it is very comparable to the Gundam Seed No Grades. It is comparable in terms of articulation. The arms kind of go up and down like that, nothing outwards. The head rotates around, the waist kind of rotates around, and the legs, well, they swivel around. So essentially, you're just going to keep the legs like that. However, for 300 yen, I would say this is way better than a Gundam Seed No Grade. They're slightly smaller than 1/44 scale, but you know, for 300 yen, it looks like that, and you get candy, which is horribly out of date, and since I'm not Ashens, this is going back in there, and definitely nowhere near my mouth. So yeah, for 300 yen, you got a nice looking machine, you got some candy. What could be better than that? Definitely not a Gundam Seed No Grade. Then I got this Dagger L keychain. I mean, that's really all I can say about this thing. It's Dagger L. It's a really cool mobile suit that really deserves a model kit, but unfortunately, never got one. Did get an action figure, but still not quite the same. Then I got this cute little gym sniper figure, which has slightly sticky plastic. Unfortunately, I didn't find that out until after I bought it. But it's just so cute. And it's going to snipe you pretty horribly. But it's so cute. Next up, talking about cute, I found this thing from Sakura Taisen, which is a game series I should really get to playing. I mean, the anime is nice and all to look at, but the games is supposedly where it's really at. Unfortunately, one of these game series that just never made it into the West. It was very popular in Japan, but that is pretty much it. There was the Wii version that got released over here, but I think that's pretty much it. Then next up we have Allenby. I saw it for cheap, and I figured, you know, why not pick it up, put it next to the Noble Gundam, should I ever get one. There was also a Lala figure of this specific series, but man, that thing looked horrible. Her face was not desirable, let's put it like that. Then I figured it had a much better face, this one from the Gundam Card Builder games. I'm kind of forgetting her name right now. They also had the Zeon variation. They were 500 yen each, but I decided, you know what, I'll just pick up the Earth Federation one. The Zeon one, maybe I'll get her sometime, but for now, that one is gonna have to do. Then, you can go to Japan and not try a few Gashapons. Now, my Gashapon experience was varied, let's say, or at least my Gashapon luck was pretty varied. This one, I got really lucky with. It was a Gashapon machine. There were only a few ones I didn't want, and mainly had Gundam wing machines. It had the standard wing. It had this one. It also had the V8. So there wasn't a lot that could go awry, and I got this one. It's a nice figure, nicely articulated for what is, well, just a Gashapon. So yeah, let's put that back on. There we go. So yeah, for a Gashapon, I think it was 500 yen. That's definitely not a bad figure. One thing that was also really cool that I found was this. It is kind of broken. It is a fragile thing, I would say, but I still have all the pieces to glue it. But yeah, these zeros were only 300 yen. So if you come across these, definitely pick one up. Well, definitely try one out. But don't pull them out of their Gashapon until you're at home. These are really fragile things, especially these and the propeller, which also broke in mine. But let's put that to the side and forget all about that little accident. The one Gashapon where it really showed that it just wasn't my lucky day was a Gashapon machine where they had the Hazel. And the thing that happened was, or the whole gimmick about that thing is, you could get the Hirudu option parts, you could get the advanced Hazel option parts, and you could get the regular Hazel. Then the other two that were in there were like the Zeta Gundam and an Agai. Here you can see that I got the Hirudu support fighter. Next up, I put all my Gashapons in this neat little baggie. Next up I got was the advanced Hazel upgrade part, which is great, but kind of useless if you don't have the Hazel. Then I had another advanced Hazel upgrade part. Let's put that there. And I can't remember, did I stop after that or did I go for... Oh yeah. So in my infinite wisdom, I decided to throw in another 500 yen and got myself another advanced Hazel upgrade set. So essentially these two Gashapons are completely useless because I already have the other ones, and these two are also completely useless because I don't have the regular Hazel Gashapon to put them on. What was also great was that later on I found a store where they were selling various Gashapons, including this specific Gashapon series. They were selling all of them except for the Hazel that I needed to put these things on. So apparently I wasn't the only idiot with this problem. So yeah. Then later on I found a Pokemon Gashapon, and there was like one figure I didn't want, which I got. So yeah, Gashapons, as nice as the things are, be very careful with them. They can really suck out your money. Then I also got this Asuka figure, which is really interesting looking. She's like on a see-through bed, and the entire thing is also on a stand. So it actually looks really nice. Now I found this in a more not one of the stores that's like in the main street, but more a store that's in one of the side streets. So it's definitely worth checking out the more obscure stores and checking out like their bottom shelf or checking out stuff that's behind the other boxes, because you can sometimes find a lot of interesting and oftentimes older stuff that's like behind other boxes, or like this figure, it's on the bottom shelf where not everyone might look. And you know what? This figure might be a good one to end the video on, because I think this video has been going on for quite a while now. And just like that, this 2-part new loot became a 3-parter. So as always, if you want a priority review on any of the model kits, leave a comment down below and I'll see what I can do. And then I'll see you all again with part 2, where I will be talking about the mangas I got and the video games. And also one random item that is somewhat video game related. So that's all for this video. See you all next time, and good night.